Have you ever noticed how tightly people hold on to things? Money, plans, outcomes, as if life were a fragile object that could be controlled, if only they tried hard enough. Have you ever wondered why the more we try to control money, the more it seems to slip through our fingers? In a world obsessed with certainty, numbers, and forecasts, where every app promises clarity, every influencer promises a system, every expert claims to know what comes next. Why does true financial peace feel so rare? Perhaps the greatest illusion about money is the belief that we are ever fully in control of it. Tonight, as you settle in, maybe walking, maybe driving, maybe just lying on your bed, let this be something you don't force yourself to learn. Just let it be, like quiet water. Let the ideas settle where they need to, because this is not a lesson. It is a reflection. And sometimes the greatest wealth begins when we finally stop trying to control everything. This is quiet money, and this is money and the illusion of control. For most of human history, survival was simple, not easy, but simple. Find food, find water, find warmth, protect yourself. Money didn't exist the way we know it today. There were no charts, no apps, no credit scores, no market openings or closings. Value was real. A fish fed you, a shelter protected you, a fire kept you alive. But somewhere in time, money became more than exchange. It became identity, safety, power, worth, a symbol instead of a reality. And the more abstract money became, the more humans began to believe they could control reality itself. We drew lines on paper, created contracts, predicted futures, calculated probabilities, and in doing so, we built a powerful story. That if we are smart enough, fast enough, disciplined enough, we can eliminate uncertainty. But uncertainty is not a bug in the system. It is the system, and money, quiet, patient, indifferent money, has never obeyed control the way the human mind imagines it should. Yet still, every morning, millions wake up to check their phones, not for messages of love, not for the sun, but for numbers. Has it gone up? Has it gone down? Did I win? Did I lose? It is strange, isn't it, that something so cold has such power over the warmth of our emotions. And here is where the real exploration begins, not in finance, but in psychology, in illusion, in the deeply human need to feel safe in an unpredictable world. The illusion of control is simple to understand in theory, but powerful in practice. It is the belief that we influence outcomes more than we truly do. It is why gamblers blow on dice, why investors check charts every 10 minutes, why people believe a lucky shirt can change destiny. We want to feel that something depends on us, because if it does, we feel powerful. But the market does not care. The economy does not care. Inflation does not care. They move like weather, like ocean currents. You can study them, respect them, prepare for them, but you cannot command them. Imagine standing on the shore, watching the tide move in and out. No amount of screaming will stop the waves. No amount of logic will change the moon. The same is true for money, and yet we build internal stories. If I just make the right move, if I just time it perfectly, if I just follow the right strategy. And while knowledge absolutely matters, discipline absolutely matters, patience absolutely matters, control is still an illusion. Think about this. How many unpredictable events shaped your current financial reality? A pandemic you didn't plan for, technologies that appeared suddenly, people you didn't know would enter or leave your life. Opportunities that came out of nowhere. Mistakes that led to growth. Recessions, booms, lockdowns, layoffs, unexpected ideas. None of that was truly in your control. And yet, you adapted. Humans don't thrive because they control life. They thrive because they learn how to respond to life. This is the part no one teaches in business schools. They teach you spreadsheets, models, theories, predictions. But they never teach surrender, not giving up, not quitting, but understanding that mastery comes not from controlling the sea, but from learning to sail. When people say, "I want to be rich so I can control my life," what they often mean is, "I am afraid of uncertainty." And that fear quietly shapes every financial decision. It causes people to cling to jobs they hate, chase risks they don't understand, hold on to assets far too long, sell assets far too early, follow crowds, trends, noise, not because it makes sense, but because it feels like control. Even debt is often an illusion of control. I can have it now. I'll handle it later. I deserve this. I can manage the payments. It feels powerful in the moment, but it is just borrowing time from the future, with interest. True wealth behaves differently. It doesn't rush, it doesn't panic, it doesn't beg for validation. It accepts uncertainty as part of its nature. It moves slower, quieter, more like a forest growing, and less like fireworks exploding. This is why patient investors quietly outperform emotional ones. This is why those obsessed with control often lose to those who trust time. The market rewards those who respect uncertainty, punishes those who try to dominate it. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Money itself is not power. Adaptability is power. Humility is power. Patience is power. Perspective is power. Because the moment you accept that you don't control everything is the same moment life feels less threatening. The same moment decisions become clearer. The same moment panic dissolves. Not because the world got safer, but because your mind got quieter. And a quiet mind makes better decisions. That is the true advantage, not secret knowledge, not inside information, not constant analysis, but emotional stillness. The ability to say, "I do not need to force this. I do not need to react. I will let time work." And time is the richest investor of all. Time is the hidden partner in every successful plan. It multiplies without noise. It grows in silence. It doesn't announce its progress. It just works. The people who understand this don't seem stressed about money. They move differently, spend differently, invest differently, think differently. They don't chase control. They build alignment. Alignment with reality. Alignment with probability. Alignment with their own nature. They focus on what they can actually influence. Their habits, their spending, their learning, their discipline, their health, their reactions, their time, and they let go of what they cannot. Global events, market chaos, other people's emotions, short-term fluctuations, opinions, trends, fear. This is the paradox. The moment you stop trying to control money is when your relationship with it becomes healthiest, is when you stop reacting and start responding, is when you move from fear into clarity. And clarity is the birthplace of intelligent wealth. Humans are storytellers. We don't just experience life, we narrate it. We say things like, "This happened because I wasn't careful. I'm unlucky with money. I always make bad decisions." But life is far more fluid than those rigid statements. Money, in reality, is simply a mirror. It doesn't decide who you are. It reveals who you are. When you are anxious, money becomes scary. When you are patient, money becomes peaceful. When you are impulsive, money disappears faster. When you are intentional, money stays longer. Money is not the source. You are, which is why the deepest financial work is often internal. It is learning to sit with discomfort, learning to delay gratification, learning to accept that progress is invisible at first, learning to honor boredom, learning to respect the slow. The world praises speed, but nature grows in silence. Trees do not compete, they do not compare, they do not rush, they simply grow at their pace. Roots first, visibility later. Wealth is the same. The most dangerous words in finance are, everyone is doing it, because everyone is usually running on fear, disguised as opportunity. But the calm person, the observer, the one who notices patterns instead of chasing waves, they discover something else. That peace is more valuable than profit. That security is internal before it is external. That control was never the goal. Understanding was. And when you understand, you stop panicking at every dip. You stop celebrating every rise. You stop checking numbers 5 times a day. You stop letting a screen determine your worth. You begin to live around money instead of inside it. This is quiet wealth, not loud, not flashy, not desperate, but grounded. It feels like walking through a forest instead of a casino. It feels like breathing slowly instead of gasping. It feels like trust. Trust in yourself, trust in time, trust in the long story. Because the truth is, you don't need control, you need clarity. You don't need certainty, you need direction. You don't need to know the exact outcome. You need to know who you are becoming. And the people who become calm, consistent, intentional, and wise rarely struggle with money in the long run. So perhaps the real illusion is not about money at all, but about who we believe ourselves to be in this world. Tiny beings trying to command enormous forces, trying to control oceans with spoons, trying to predict skies we never created. What if wealth was never meant to be controlled? What if it was meant to be understood, respected, aligned with? What if the secret isn't in mastering the market, but in mastering your reaction to it? When you stop trying to dominate life, life feels less like a battlefield and more like a river, flowing, moving, offering currents to those who know how to listen, and resisting only those who try to force it. In the end, true wealth isn't counted, it's felt. In silence, in patience, in understanding, and in the quiet realization that you never needed control to begin with. You only needed awareness. Thank you for spending this time inside stillness. If you enjoy calm reflections about wealth, mindset, and the psychology of money, subscribe to Quiet Money for more journeys like this. And now, let the silence work for you. See you soon, friends, and have a great day.